Hey, how we doing tonight, SICW fans? Catching up with the legendary SICW promoter, Herb Simmons. He's out having dinner. I'm bothering him real quick. He's going to give us a quick minute of his time. How you doing tonight, Herb?
Doing great, and again, I just can't thank you enough for what you do. You know, you're out here helping keep the legacy and the tradition of what our passion is, and that's wrestling. And we are just so fortunate and lucky to be from the greatest territory, I feel, in the country, out of the St. Louis region, that was the #1 hub of professional wrestling under the late great Sam Leach.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But, you know, I appreciate those kind words, but you along with Mr. Ed Wheatley, together, the two of you, have carried on, well, Larry, when he was still with us, and you three gentlemen carried on what everybody was doing at the Chase for years, and now it's you and Ed everywhere. There's a dinner, you're there. A book signing, you're there. You're a mayor, you're a father, you're the director of the 911 emergency line in our county, and you still find ways to bring old school professional wrestling back to the St. Louis community. What drives you to do that? Because I'm not trying to say anything but your age and your experience, and everybody in the world already calls you the Godfather. Why are you doing this now in 2021?
Well, I can't argue with them. I am old, there's no doubt about it. But, you know, I tell people I had the esteem, pleasure, and honor of sitting in the office with the late great Sam Leach when Larry Matysek would take me over there. I was a little kid at the candy shop, a little boy.
Like Larry, I am with you.
Larry Matysek and I both. You know, Larry started working for Sam Leach when he was 16 years old. Didn't even have a driver's license. His dad, Edwin, would drive him over there to
Larry
Sam's.
Worked for Sam at 16?
Yes. Started writing and just cleaning up around the office. And
how did you meet him?
Was a fan. He actually sent in and started writing his own newsletters and sent a sample over to Sam over to the office in St. Louis. And next thing you know, he put his name and number on it, and he's getting a phone call from Sam saying, "Hey, can you be over here such and such a day?"
That's powerful.
Powerful. And so I was fortunate. I was the young man at the right place at the right time. And what keeps me going is I had, just like you, we have the love, the passion for professional wrestling, and that's what keeps us going. People say, well, how can you work and do this and still find time to do it? It's because I love it. I love hearing the stories. I mean, tonight at the book signing, you were standing there, people coming up saying, my grandmother went to wrestling at the Chase.
Yes.
My mom and dad took us there.
Yes.
One sad story, a lady said my mom and dad actually got killed coming from the wrestling at the Chase show one night. They stopped at a stop sign and the truck hit them. Stories like that, but she was still tickled to death. They're standing there looking at the pictures in the book. The book that Ed Wheatley put together is a coffee table book, loaded hundreds of pictures.
Jim Carney said something about that coffee table book the other day on his podcast.
Said he can sleep on the book.
He said smelled good too.
Smelled good. Jim Cornette, a great guy. You know, a lot
from
of people,
the Jim Cornette experience. Make sure you guys check him out. He did mention Herb's book. Shout out to him.
Yeah, and I called him the other day, left him a message. He's a busy man. I told him, I said, hey, thanks. I had a bunch of people sending me the link and telling me that he mentioned it. And
episode 403, right?
403.
403. Yeah. Jim Cornette experience. 35 minutes into there, they will talk about Herb. Carney will, trust me. Just check it out.
Yeah, but you know, to answer your question, the passion. Everybody's got a story about wrestling at the Chase, and you were at the NWA 73. 2 nights of packed audience. People were there talking about it. Billy Corgan and his staff with the NWA brought it back to where Larry Matysek and I always wanted to come back to.
Yes.
Billy Corgan came in, worked his magic, and was able to do. They actually did 4 nights there. The other 2 nights were tapings.
TV tapings, correct.
Great show.
I heard they sold out for those 2 nights, those 2 days as well, with full TV taping. So they did good.
Yeah, great night. And you know, Billy, the NWA National Wrestling Alliance. Those 3 letters are kind of like the 4 words: wrestling at the Chase. And they go hand in hand.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely. And you know what else goes hand in hand with wrestling at the Chase and the NWA? The SICW.
Well, I'm kind of partial to that. We have a lot of SICW fans out there, and I say they're the greatest around. They support each and everything we do. They're supporting this book. The book has only been out 3 weeks now, I think, and we're already ordering the 2nd edition of it. That tells you how hot of an item it is. There's a movie, a film that's going to be made.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Was this the same book that was at Wrestling at the Chase for the NWA 73?
Yes, same book.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
I
well,
thought
we
so.
were taking orders and we didn't have it then.
That's what I thought. I was
We were
wondering.
just taking orders at that time.
Okay,
It's
so
only been
I
out
need to
3
go ahead
weeks
and
now.
grab this book before we leave because I thought I had it, but I don't.
Yeah, we were just taking the orders. They hadn't been delivered yet, but now they've been out about 3 weeks. We've already done the second edition order going in. And again, it's just flying off the shelf. And as I say, there's going to be a film. It hopefully will be out early next year, March or April, it says. They've already started interviewing people.
Well, the rumor is Hollywood people have been trying to get a hold of you the past couple days.
Yeah, they're interested in some of the footage that we have, which is great. I was fortunate. I've got all the results from the Wrestling at the Chase days on these little 3x5 index cards that they used to typewriter. If you want to know how many matches Dick the Bruiser had, who he fought, who won, who lost, King Kong Bruiser Brody, Ric Flair. I've got all those results.
Why did you do that? There was another person that did that before you. Why did you do that?
I didn't do that. Those were all given to me from Sam and Larry. Those were Sam's collection.
And you know who else? You know what that reminds me of is the old baseball card when you go to the ballpark and you filled out the game card.
Yeah, no, these are all in metal boxes, like recipe boxes, like Grandma and Mom had. They keep their homemade pies,
God.
and the big lids flop up on them, and they got them all. Like I said,
Sam
Dick
and
the
Larry's
Bruiser's got a stack.
print.
No, they're typewriters. They're all typed out, and they're old. Some of them date back to the late 50s, early 60s. So, and like I said, if you want to know how many matches Dick the Bruiser had, how many John Paul Henning had, they got them all with paper clips. Some of them got rubber bands around them, and they're all in alphabetical order. And that's at every match at the Wrestling at the Chase or at the Kiel Auditorium or at the Checker Dome.
Right, the Checker Dome.
All the programs that you used to get at the shows or they would mail out, I've got every one of them in hardbound books. Chris Clear, Larry Mattisek, and Sam left them to me.
What about? I heard you something about an audiobook.
Well, I have all of Larry's audio tapes that he did. He did a radio station at one time, and each Wednesday night, him and a guy named Gary Capetto would take, and they would take year per year results, and they would do an audio tape. So I have all of that whole collection.
Plus the lost tapes of the golden years from Wrestling at the Chase.
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
The oldest stuff I got from there, the oldest tape I got is from 1962 with Pat O'Connor on it, against Lorenzo Parenti, Johnny Valentine's on it. Joe Garagiola is the play-by-play announcer, which he was
Mickey's
the first
brother.
one. Yes, Joe started in 1959, the first episode. Cowboy Bob Orton's father, Bob Orton Sr., was on the first episode in 1959 of Wrestling at the Chase.
Wow. He was on the very first episode?
1959, Cowboy Bob Orton Sr.
Wait, I mean, who did he wrestle?
I'm not sure. I think it was, I'd have to check, but I think it was maybe Dick Hutton.
Nice.
I think I'd have to
There's
check.
a name for you. Now, I know you're trying to get back to your dinner
Yeah,
and
I'm
things
fine.
like that,
I'm
and I
fine.
know that's
I want your fans to have what they
I
want.
do too. There's a guy on the SICW scene from Iowa that goes by the name of Gil Rogers. He reminds you of Bob Backlund, and he reminds me a little bit of Pat O'Connor. So what is your take on Gil Rogers?
I think Gil Rogers is a very great wrestler. He's got one of the most fabulous drop kicks in the world.
Beautiful.
He's got the look of a Bob Backlund. If you put him and Bob Backlund side by side, he comes out with a nice jacket on. He's got the towel around his neck. He's full of that high energy.
Yes.
He's bouncing around, and
The people love him.
And he's good.
Absolutely.
He just had a fight of his life against the international bounty hunter, Attila Khan. And I mean, you got to be somebody to get in that ring against Attila
that was
Khan.
actually a fight.
Oh.
That was a fight. I didn't know what was going to happen during that match. I was there. Let me, if you don't mind. That was a fight. But there was two parts in that match that I noticed Gil Rogers. It was his drop kick, and it was his love for professional wrestling.
That, and then of course I saw a little bit of other stuff when they got out of the ring and went over to the concession stand and introduced his head to the
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You know, the funny thing is the crowd moved out of the way for Attila like they would have. We're in the middle of a community center, but it was almost like somebody moving out of a crowd memories of Brody.
Well, you've seen tapes of Bruiser Brody.
Have I ever?
Another great friend of ours. He was with Larry and I back in 1988, the weekend before he was murdered.
Yes.
In Cahokia, Illinois.
He was murdered in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico by a gentleman named Jose Gonzalez.
Promoter.
Yeah. part owner of the business.
In a bathroom, actually, guys. You got to Google this story. But
So
can you tell them a little bit about that?
Just the fact that, like I said, Frank Goodish was with us. He came in and did a lot of work for us over several years. Thanks to Larry Matisek
For
introducing him to me, SICW. We had him at the Belclair Fairgrounds. We were the first independent promotion in the country that he worked for on the independent market.
Okay.
And like I said,
I did not know that.
had him all over Missouri, Illinois, Waseca, Illinois, Carmi, Illinois, down in White County. We had him all over.
What year did he start with you?
He was started with me right in the mid '80s.
Right after his WCCW days?
And then he was bound. He would go all over. He was a guy that worked where he wanted to. He was a god in Japan. He was really big in Puerto Rico, of course, and wherever he went, he was there. He brought a lot of the guys to SICW. Dick Murdoch, Crusher Blackwell, Kamala the Ugandan Giant, Steve Regal, Mr. Electricity.
Absolutely.
Bob Sweettan, Cowboy Scott Casey. All those guys came to SICW because of the connection that Bruiser Brody had with them from World Class Championship Wrestling, or when he was working for the Bill Watts organization, people like that. And he liked what we were doing at SICW, Larry and I, and so we formed a good friendship.
Absolutely, and that's what the business is about.
And I stay in touch with his lovely wife today, Barbara Goodish. Every year we do a Bruiser Brody Memorial, have a battle royal, and she comes in and presents the trophy cup to the winner. And she's just a sweet lady. And we were out in Vegas with her here not too long ago. I told you there's going to be a film about wrestling at the Chase coming up. We did an interview with her.
She'll be in there.
She'll be in that. Darla Staggs, one of our good friends from St. Louis, lives up in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area now. They interviewed her. So this film is moving. The book is moving. SICW, Army family is moving.
We're more of a SICW family. For a moment, we were SICW Army for 3 or 4 days, but we could go ahead and cool down because we're being heard now, and that's all we wanted. Old school wrestling territories usually don't like being heard, and we're not trying to be heard on social media. We just want to be respected, Herb, and I follow you because I like respecting you, and that's why.
Well, and what I want to do is I want the fans to be. I want them to relive what their parents and grandparents did. When Larry Matisek and I reproduced those wrestling at the Chase tapes, people of all ages was buying them. They would order them and say, we want to show our grandchildren what wrestling was really like. When Larry and I was doing the program SICW Wrestling Explosion, you may see 2 of our local guys wrestling in a match, and the next card would be Ric Flair against Dick the Bruiser. So we were catching.
When you were doing it on
yeah, we were on Charter Cable for several years, about 4 or 5 years, in fact. Charter Cable, we would every Sunday morning we were on there.
Oh my goodness!
And we've got I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage, not only from wrestling at the Chase. I also recently acquired Dick the Bruiser's television tapes, and then plus all of the SICW Explosion tapes we've got. So a lot of footage.
So the Dick the Bruiser tapes are separate than the wrestling
Yes.
tapes? Why is that?
Well, because Dick the Bruiser ran the organization up in the Indianapolis area, and he had his own television program in there that went into the Chicago area, Indianapolis area. And a lot of times, a lot of the guys that worked in St. Louis worked for him. A lot of his guys, like Moose Sholock, Guy Mitchell, Roger Kirby, they would work here in St. Louis. They would work in the Kansas City area. Back when there was like 32 territories at one time.
Absolutely.
And so Sam Muchnick kept all of those promotions together by being the peacekeeper.
Yes, right.
And for just about 41 years, and there was a few years he wasn't the president, but for the most of that 41 years, he was the president of the National Wrestling Alliance.
Absolutely, twice, right?
Yes,
2 different times.
And so when there was a dispute going on about the NWA title, which is the most prestigious title out there.
Yes, sir.
NWA, National
Real
Wrestling
world
Alliance. And like I said, and I got a feeling it's there now. Look at Trevor Murdoch in St. Louis, Missouri.
Love Trevor Murdoch. He is a hometown boy.
Worked under Harley Race, trained under Harley Race. What better way to have a match there tonight? Nothing taken away from Nick Aldis, but what a match that was. Trevor Murdoch, hometown boy, Southern Missouri, and now he gets to walk around with that gold National Wrestling Alliance champion.
A dream of a person growing up in the area, in the territory, and a true fan of professional wrestling. I mean, he goes by the name Trevor Murdoch. If you're gonna, like Ric Flair said, if you're gonna go by the name Trevor Murdoch, you better be good. Right?
And he's tough, and
he's good.
He, he's one of those guys that takes no prisoners, and whoever
Absolutely.
has to get in the ring with him is going to be in for a battle of their life.
Right.
Because he's at his career now where I'm the champion.
Yep.
Everybody, that bullseye just got big on him.
They're gunning for him.
They're gunning.
Right. So I'm actually representing.
Yeah, Nick, you don't think Nick don't want that title back?
Oh, Nick wants that title back, and Trevor said today, I was watching the NWA Power After Show, and the question was brought up to Trevor and Nick, why are you guys tag teaming? They're tag teaming in Oak Grove, Kentucky, by any means necessary. Check it out. I'll be there front row with a SICW shirt on, representing my fandom of the St. Louis territory, and I'm going to watch Trevor Murdoch. But Trevor Murdoch said today was funny. They asked him, don't you think Nick's going to double cross you and want that title back? He said, listen, you smart fans out there, I know Nick wants the title back, but no, that's not what we're doing right now. So in the future, if that's not what he wanted, then he shouldn't be wrestling. So Trevor Murdoch understands that Nick's still gunning for him.
The Nick that I know probably was thinking in his mind, if he wants some, come get some.
Come get some. And we both know, I'm a big fan of Trevor. You personally know Trevor, and I don't want to say that, but I'm going to. You do. Can you tell the fans why they need to support this man from St. Louis?
Oh,
Support Trevor
one,
Murdoch.
he's a true legitimate, down-to-earth guy. I mean, he's lived and breathed professional wrestling ever since I've known him. Sit under the learning tree of the all-time great Harley Race.
And that enough alone right there,
That
period.
enough right there. I mean, a lot of these guys.
Because Harley doesn't train everybody.
No, you had to be in that inner circle to get that done.
Absolutely.
And Trevor was there. And I hate to say it, Attila Khan was underneath it.
Don't hate to say that. That's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world right now.
Of Harley Race. And so when you got a guy like Harley Race from the St. Louis area, the St. Louis territory, becomes the National Wrestling Alliance champion, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I was Billy, and I know they are, but if I'd be shouting that from the rooftops.
From the rooftops, they are. But I mean, I'm here. I love the NWA. I love what they're doing. They are growing every day, and it's a day by day thing. You famously tell me all the time, Rome isn't built in a day.
No.
And they have Rome in their hands, but they can't build it in a day.
Yeah, no, and again, the talent that I saw, and I was so impressed with the talent for the NWA 73. Their women's division that they had there.
With Mickey James,
oh my
absolutely.
Gosh. I mean, it
That
was
was
on
a
fire.
good
It was on fire.
That was a
now,
good
you got
crowd.
to keep in mind, the women back in the day, women wrestler wasn't that big in St. Louis.
Right.
Sam would always bring them in as a special attraction. The Penny Banners, Lalani Kai, the Debbie Combs, the Cora Combs, people like that.
Did Ms.
Wendy
Burke ever
Richter.
wrestle at the Chase?
I don't remember. I'm sure she did because Mildred was one
Everywhere.
of the greats. Yeah.
And she would actually outdo everybody in attendance.
Yes.
If they had her on the card, they would sell out. Am I right?
Yeah, oh yeah, without a doubt. But again, Billy coming in and giving a one-night tournament was unprecedented.
Yep.
But they went
Like
hotcakes.
nuts. And the funny thing is they're using that to their advantage because it's one off, and they're with, they do stuff with TNA. So now TNA's doing an all-woman show. I love Mickey James. I think she's one of the greatest people in the industry, and everybody knows the story what WWE did to her, which is shady, which that's what some big companies do and are known for. So I guess we should have seen that coming. So they have Mickey James at the forefront of the women's division, and it did huge numbers.
Yes.
It broke records.
Well, and they just got to keep moving forward, as I said.
And the St. Louis crowd.
Rome wasn't built overnight, and I saw so many fans there from SICW. It was unbelievable. I saw you there. Everybody was coming up to the table where Ed Wheatley and I was sitting at, and they were ordering the books, and they all wanted to talk. We had our SICW Hall of Fame Classic title, who has everybody's name that was a member of the NWA listed on that belt. Everybody from Sam Muchnick all the way down. Gene Kaniski, Fritz Von Erich, Pat O'Connor, Johnny Valentine, Buddy Rogers, all the Von
On the
Erichs.
classic belt?
On the classic title belt.
Larry's
all those
on names on
Larry
there.
Matisek's name's on there.
Yep.
It's everybody that was a member of that National Wrestling Alliance, one way or the other, worked for it, because that was the game. You had the AWA.
That makes sense. I was wondering. That makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why we call it the St. Louis Classic Hall of Fame title, because someday, whoever's wearing that SICW belt will have their name on it.
Absolutely, and the current holder of that title is Attila Khan.
Yeah, whether you like him or not, he's probably the biggest, toughest guy out there. Of course, we all know he's got a big match coming up October 30th.
Over at ST.LOUIS.
Over at ST.LOUIS and King Haku.
Well, I've seen a couple promos being thrown back and forth between them two, and it's getting serious.
It's getting serious, and if you haven't got your tickets yet for October 30th at Bellflower Fairgrounds, you are not going to miss out. The Rock and Roll Express delegation will be there. Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Yes, sir.
Joe Harris used to call it Arm and Hammer back in the day.
He did.
Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, will be there.
You got his White Castle ready?
Sergeant Slaughter will be there. So there's 11 legends plus. Not just 11, but look at the talent in the SICW locker room. The big Texan, Gil Rogers, Gary Jackson, the Night Train, got his name from Bruiser Brody.
Bobby from Belleville.
The Professionals, Bobby D. The list goes on and on. A lot of years of experience and knowledge in that SICW locker room. And I mean, we're going to have trunk or treat for the kids, hay rides for the kids, costume contest for the kids. 2-ring battle royal hasn't been done since Larry Mattisek did it back at the St. Louis Arena.
And what year was that?
That would have been 1984, I think it was.
And who were the last 2 men in the ring for that?
Spike Huber ended up against Tully Blanchard.
Absolutely.
And Spike Huber won.
Spike Huber won. And that's another guy that Gil Rogers reminds me of a little bit.
Spike
of
Huber.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. Great.
Yeah. And so, we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to bring them, if you allow me to, again, bring them some more in the future. You don't mind talking to the fans, do you?
No. I say this all along. No fans, no wrestling.
There you go.
Just that simple. I always tell them, too, it's good promotion is like baking a cake. You got to have a good locker room.
Right.
SICW's got one.
The best.
You got to have good fans. SICW's got it.
The best.
And if you've got a promoter that knows the history of what took place with the NWA and wrestling at the Chase, SICW got it. I'm not bragging about myself.
Makes him the best, the Godfather.
I got the knowledge from 3 people: Sam Muchnick, Larry Mattisek, King Kong Bruiser Brody.
And those 3 men, if you look into the history and Google them, it's like this gentleman here is like the Kevin Bacon. If you ever seen that game, the something degrees of Kevin Bacon, you could do that with Herb Simmons. The 3 names that he just named are the greatest names in the history of professional wrestling, and all 3 of those names lead to what you're watching on TV today, and all 3 of those names lead to what I'm watching today in Southern Illinois at Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, and I thank you for that.
Well,
I really do.
I appreciate, like I said, what you do. Out there spreading the word. I tell when I do interviews with other podcasts or whatever it may be, because it seems like podcast is a big thing nowadays.
Right.
YouTube's great, big thing. Facebook. I tell all the time, we have to keep that momentum going.
Yep.
History is here. History's a great thing.
Yes.
If you're not learning from the history, then what do you think about it? I want to know what happened back in 1959 when wrestling at the Chase started.
Yes.
I want to know the wars that took place, and I was fortunate.
Territory
to hear
wars and stuff, right?
I was fortunate to sit in that office. Sam always told Larry and I would stay here. You here in this office, stays in this office. He opened up his files to us, and to sit there and listen to Sam either be on the phone or have Fritz Von Erich sitting in the office or Gene Kaniski as they're sitting there talking about an upcoming big match. And I was a kid at a candy shop.
Like I am with you.
Well, it was just, I was blessed, and I just loved it. I've met so many great people. The Briscoes, the Funks, like I said, Dick Murdoch, Bob Backlund, we talked about him. One Man Gang.
Oh yeah, there's one.
And the fans. I can't tell you how many fans I met. I was down in Tennessee with my late great friend Bert Prentice, who just passed away, helping him with the USA Championship Wrestling. Fans were coming up here and saying, "Oh, we follow SICW all the time.
Yes.
We go out to Vegas once a year to the Cauliflower Alley Club. There's people out there walking around with SICW shirts on."
Tell them why. Because of Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody, people like that. Sam Muchnick, Larry Mattisek. I'm this year, not bragging, but I received what was called the Red Bastien Friendship Award.
On the friendship side.
On the friend, yeah, it's an award they give away. The Cauliflower Alley is a great, one of the organizations.
It's
I
a
support.
committee made up, and they decide who gets it.
Well, but I mean, the organization itself helps wrestlers and people involved in the business who fall on hard times.
Absolutely.
They help them financially, whatever they may need. It's a great organization. For $25 a year, you become a member. $300 a year, you can become a lifetime member.
There you go.
And believe me, there are a lot of, you got to remember back in the day, these wrestlers didn't have a 401k. They didn't have health insurance.
Car salesman.
So they fall on hard times. This Cauliflower Alley Club, Google it, and you'll find out what they have done. And I mean, it's a great organization. And if you can do me a favor, just everybody spend $25, because each year there's some wrestler out there or somebody who's been involved, an announcer, a referee, that's been involved in that business that falls on hard times and needs some help. B. Brian Blair, one of the Killer Bees, is
Love
the
him.
president, CEO.
He's the president of that
He's
organization?
the president of it. Great guy, and that organization does a tremendous.
Can you say the organization name one more time?
Cauliflower Alley, CAC.
Cauliflower Alley?
Cauliflower Alley, like Cauliflower Alley ears.
CAC is it .com or anything
No,
like that?
it's Cauliflower Alley. If you Google that, you'll find out what it is. And
Direct to all the people that follow me, and you know who you are. $25, go do it, and put on their certified hustler for me. Thank you. Herb, it's been a pleasure.
it's been a pleasure.
We're going to catch up to you.
Anytime. Just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks to the camera person.
My wife.